It was a typical day in Toronto, Canada. The street was bustling with cars and people. It was always noisy, with cars honking, people shouting and screaming their heads off. I don't blame them though. It's not every day that a nuke is set to explode in a minute and a half. So I guess it's not your typical day. By the way, did you know I can fly? Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Carrying a nuclear bomb despite it being twice my size. My clothes are torn after getting into a scuffle with an evil Captain America. And now I'm most likely going to die with a good chunk of people in Toronto. I can't believe I'm doing this crap. I'm only freaking 10 years old. It's a lot, I know. The only thing repeated in my mind as I soared in the air with the bomb was, how the heck did we get here? I sighed deeply as I stared at the boy in the mirror. A boy with messy black hair, big nerdy glasses, and a squishy face. I sighed deeply at my appearance and predicament I was in. It was the last day of school before summer break, and my classmates and I were going on a field trip today. If it were any other kids, they would be ecstatic. Unfortunately for me, I'm not like most kids. I wanted to stay home and sleep through another boring summer until September. I hope my reputation status will reset by then. However, my parents wanted me to go, as they couldn't leave me at home while they were busy at work, which I found unfair. My sister Athena was at a family friend's house, along with my dog, Poochie. They say since that Athena was only in grade 3, her not going to school isn't as serious as me skipping a day. So freaking unfair. I stared at my reflection, ensuring there wasn't anything wrong with my appearance or clothing. I don't need my reputation dragged lower than it already is. Black hoodie shirt and black pants, perfect to blend in with the crowd. The only thing messing up my appearance is these big dumb dorky glasses. If it weren't for the fact that I would be blind without them, I would have stepped on this thing. With everything seemingly decent, I left my house. It didn't take long for me to get to school, only a 3-minute walk. One of the reasons my parents allowed me to walk alone. I'll spare all the details of some checkups and attendances. I wasn't paying attention anyway. After everything was settled, my classmates and some kids from the other class entered the bus. I sat on the bus chair on the window side. It felt okay, but it was not good or bearable. I stared at the empty seat beside me as the other students loudly talked amongst each other about the trip. I sighed deeply and lay my head on my seat, only to find someone lightly kicking my shin. I groaned internally, already knowing the one responsible. My head shifted to meet a tall boy, a year older than me. He had dirty blonde hair and dark blue eyes. All of his clothes were black, and his shirt had a cartoonishly skull insignia in the middle. The boy looked to be your average bully because he was one. Jimmy Bullard, the biggest bully in our school. Despite being 11 years old, he looks like he could pass as 16. His large hulking frame towers over me, and his blue eyes looked at me coldly. You know the drill. I quickly dug into my pockets and handed him $5 in cash. He looked at the money before giving me a nod, and then leaving to bother another student for money. I glared at his back and clenched my fist. It was irritating that he kept getting away with his bullying. His uncle was a teacher and often protected him from trouble. The only good thing about Jimmy is that unlike most bullies, he usually leaves you alone as long as you pay up. If you don't, He'll annihilate you. Everybody hated him. Huh, that's an exciting idea. Will I be recognized as the hero if I beat him up? I could already imagine it. The entire school cheering my name as I defeated the terror of Harvest Hills School. But that was nothing but a pipe dream. My noodle arms might just shatter if I were to hit Jimmy. I sighed deeply as I felt the bus finally starting to move. I just hope this last field trip is at least fun. After a long bus ride, we finally arrive at the science center. The Uni Labs. A renowned laboratory attracts the best scientists from around the globe to research and develop innovations for a better future for mankind. This was one of, if not the best place for tourism. I've been here a few times with my parents where I've seen some really cool technology. Like, there was a guy there who had a helmet that could control a robot and make it match his movements. Another thing I saw was a small Asian woman lifting a large beam with her futuristic gauntlets. There were many pretty cool things in this place. The problem is that I had people to talk to, like my parents or my sister, and unfortunately, no one on this bus was really inclined to talk to me. Everybody already has their own established friend groups, and I doubt they'll let me in on the last day of school. Hopefully, after next year, my reputation as the weird kid will be gone. But knowing my luck and after years of being alone, I'm not holding my breath. We got off the bus, and before we entered the large building, the teacher gave us the usual rules of staying close together and not running. After 5 minutes of the teacher yapping, we could finally go inside. Uni Labs is always tidy whenever I come over, but today, there seemed to be a lot of people. Men and women of varying ages, all wearing lab coats, were running around frantically from one destination to the next. I'm not surprised. After all, this was a special day for Uni Labs. It's demonstration day. You see, Uni Labs is basically a super college for lab geeks. Anyone who gets in is offered prestige and a lot of job opportunities from the government. Though it's like college, I've heard from my mom that not anyone could just get in, and no matter how much you have, you cannot buy your way in. You already have to be an accomplished scientist with an extremely good resume. You would have to be the best among the elites to even stand a chance of becoming a student here. The best and easiest way to enter was through a demonstration day, where you showcase to everyone the thing you invented. It had to be an invention of some kind. So even if you find the mathematical formula of infinity and godhood, you're still going to get overlooked. No, it had to be interesting technology that could greatly benefit humanity. Our class was greeted by our tour guide, which led us throughout the building, showcasing a myriad of adventures as well as Uni Labs history. I tuned the history gibberish and looked at the futuristic inventions that were built here, like gloves that could stick to any surface, a gun that shoots out white goo that freezes people in place, and also a flying glider. While I wasn't a lab geek, far from it, I was still amazed and curious about how these things were built. Follow me, everyone. A pretty young woman gestured toward us. We were led to a large metallic door which opened automatically. There were many scientists who set up their own booths showcasing things to people. A lot of them were tourists, and some of them were men wearing military uniforms, looking at the inventions with cold interest. What instantly caught my eye was that in the middle was a large circular device. When I say it was big, I mean it was really big. It towered over anything I've seen in the lab. It took up most of the space too. From what I could see, the circular ring had a lot of wires connecting to it. It must use a lot of electricity to power it. Curiously though, the scientist wasn't there showcasing and showing it off. Maybe they left it there for intrigue for a future demonstration. I mean, it got me hooked. I wonder what that machine could do. Before I could dwell on it a bit further, my teacher informed us that she would let us wander around, but that we need to be back at a specific time and location. Honestly, that's kind of irresponsible, leaving 10-year-old kids to go around wherever we want. But hey, that's how the plot will go forward. So other kids instantly dispersed, going around to look at the coolest inventions. Meanwhile, I immediately headed to the washroom, locked myself in the stall, and started playing Super City on my phone. While I do love Unilabs and its fantastic technology, seeing it in a billion times and experiencing other cool stuff made it dull a little. And besides, there being a lot of people, even if they aren't talking to me, makes it hard to breathe. I probably might start to experience a panic attack. So it's just best for me to just chill in the washroom and wait for the day to be over. Time passed for who knows how long, too entranced with beating Jester with Soup Man, before the washroom door was opened loudly like someone kicked it. I nearly dropped my phone in the toilet too. I pulled my legs up in order to not to be spotted by whoever it was that just entered. I saw 2 pairs of legs walking inside and began to converse. "Richard, this is stupid. We haven't even tested the damn thing yet," a fearful voice said. The other pair of legs swiftly turned to the other one. I could hear the other man growl at his colleague. "You're the dumb one here. You almost blurted to the others that we weren't ready." "We aren't. We didn't even test the machine like the smaller one," the angry man scoffed. "Look, it will work just fine, okay? I know what I'm doing." They paused for a minute before the angry man sighed and spoke softly. "It was our dream that we could finally become scientists for Unilabs. Isn't this what you want?" "We're done, Richard. I'm not going to take part with this." The other guy turned and was about to walk away before the angry man shouted, "Are you going to walk out on me too? You're just like your mom, abandoning people when things get tough." The other man froze at the angry man's words, but instead of replying, the other guy just silently left the bathroom. "Wait," Richard tried to stop the other guy from leaving, but the words died in his throat. After a few minutes, he just silently stood there, not moving an inch or making a sound. A loud sigh escaped his lips before he went over to the sink, and I could hear the running water as the man splashed his face. I didn't know what else happened before he finally left. I was once again left alone in the bathroom. That was hardcore and awkward. I let out a deep breath. Is this how kids feel when their parents argue? Yikes. I rejoined my classmates and teacher after some time passed. It was almost time to head back, which made me sigh in relief. Finally, I can go home and do something more at my speed. "Attention, everyone!" a loud voice called out. Everyone turned to the source of the voice, which turned out to be a young adult man that seemed to be in his 20s, possessing combed brown hair and circular glasses. Honestly, he kind of looked like he could pass as a live-action Peter Parker. I smiled, amused at the thought. My eyes darted to look at the expressions of the other scientists. Some seemed to be annoyed. After all, this man just took everyone's attention away from their inventions and into his. Although, I could see some curious faces amidst the crowd. I mean, why wouldn't they be? This guy was standing behind the large circular machine I saw earlier, the one that dwarfs other inventions in this room, and we would assume that this was his creation. I'm Richard Dracos, and here today is my invention, Richard said, oozing with confidence, and presented the large machine to everyone. Wait, Richard? Could that be the same guy I heard argue with another person back in the washroom? I swallowed a lump in my throat, and all of a sudden, my body started to heat up. It didn't take long for my hands to get clammy and cold sweat to drip down on my face. I tried to calm my beating heart, but each time the words repeated like a broken record. Okay, calm down, Ben Armstrong. He seems confident in what he's doing. I mean, he is a scientist. They're supposed to be smart. The calm, reassuring thoughts made my heart steady a little, though the desire to run away was still present. I looked at the teacher, who looked fascinated with the machine and its possible function. I could tell her, but would she believe me? I don't want to humiliate myself for being wrong. I could already see the other kids giggling and the adults giving me disapproving stares. Yeah, I don't want the heat. I'm sure everything is going to be fine. You see, everyone uses cars which emit harmful gases that affect the environment, and sometimes the distance is far too great or costly to travel. He walked around the machine, never losing his confident smile. That's why I built the machine called GATE, Go Accelerated Teleportation Electronics. It serves as a portal for fast travel. As the man spoke those words, people whispered amongst each other in disbelief. I also couldn't believe what the man was saying. I've seen many fantastic inventions in this place, but I've never come across something like that. Not even close. This is sci-fi levels of madness. Despite everyone's whispers and doubts, the man never lost his swagger. In fact, the disbelief made him even more giddy. Yes, I know I'm aware that it sounds impossible, like a portal that only exists in science fiction. Well, folks, it is science, but it is fiction no more. Richard paused dramatically, letting his words sink in. But words are empty. Allow me to demonstrate my life's work. I would suggest stepping back a little, everyone. He pulled the goggles out of his lab coat and put them on. Almost immediately, everyone heeded his words and took a step back. The crowd's curiosity piqued. People wanted to see if it failed and Richard becoming a laughingstock, or if we could witness something beyond our wildest imaginations. However, I was an outsider. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to see if it would succeed or fail. I just wanted to run off. The bad feeling choking me made me breathe harder. Richard gave a thumbs up before quickly going to the side of the large machine and seemingly started pressing buttons. After a minute, we could hear a whooshing sound. It reminded me of an old PC struggling as it played a modern AAA game. Electricity sparked in the center of the gate. The electricity soon became wild. The zaps of lightning hit other smaller inventions and caused sparks, causing everyone to gasp in alarm. Now they were feeling what I was feeling: uncertainty and fear. Before anyone could bolt, Richard flashed his pearly whites at us. "It's okay, everyone. That happens normally," he shouted. Though I could just be imagining it, I could have sworn that his voice shook a little. After a few minutes of butter mashing, Richard's face slowly devolved into panic as he pressed a lot of unseen buttons. His fearful expression caused my heart to freeze. After a while, he slowly backed away from the machine before dashing towards us. "Everyone, run away! The machine is going to..." His words were cut off when the machine suddenly illuminated a bright light, and not only that, there was a shockwave that caused everyone to tumble back. I could hear the screams even as my ears rang. Once my eyes refocused, I could see the gate's empty space wasn't nothing but empty air anymore. Instead, a glass-like wall shimmered with different colors, mainly blue in the middle of the portal. "What is that?" I uttered in a horrified voice. Okay, so I was forced to wake up early in the morning and got mugged the first thing I got on the bus. Had to endure this field trip, which I will admit was fun, but still annoyed going to a place I can pretty much go if I mention it to my parents. Now, I have to deal with this? Everything was on fire. The flames covered all of the other inventions and the floor. The gate showed a fascinating glass-like structure that shined with multiple colors, and some of them I was sure didn't exist. It would have been memorizing, honestly. I'd never seen anything like it. It was amazing. I felt so drawn to it. I could stare at it for hours. Too bad everything is on fire. "Fire! Run!" someone shouts, and like that, the spell was broken. I blinked and turned around, and everyone was frantically leaving the room. They pushed against each other as multiple screams pierced my ears. I could see the teacher ahead pushing everyone, including the kids, trying to save his skin. What a butthole. Still, it seemed everybody managed to leave the room quickly. Wait, what am I doing narrating all this? I should get out of here now. I pushed myself off the floor and was about to book it if it wasn't for a weak voice calling out to me. "Please, help me." I turned my head to face Jimmy Bullard. He was on the floor, unable to move as his right leg was trapped by a large steel robotic arm. It was a pretty big invention. If I remember correctly, it was supposed to help carry large objects or something. Ironic that something created to aid others is now on the ground, trapping a child amidst an emergency. Jimmy's head was bleeding slightly, bleeding from the forehead to his eye. It's difficult to believe I was seeing the big bad Jimmy to look this vulnerable. It was so bizarre, but I don't think I can help him. That object looked too heavy for me to lift, and even if I could, with the state he's in, he would just be dead weight. Not to mention the fire is continuing to spread, and the gate was making a loud noise. I wouldn't be surprised if it blew up. I took a step back and I swallowed a lump in my throat as I moved my body to face the exit. I tried not to shake as I felt Jimmy's pleading stare. Why would I help him anyway? Even if I'm physically strong enough and fast enough for both of us to get out of here, why should I help him? The same guy who mugs me and threatens me almost every day? I can remember a few times I got a black eye because of him, and I was forced to lie due to my fear of him coming back for revenge. Either way, I hate Jimmy Bullard. I feel like the world would be a better place without this guy. Maybe I would even be labeled as a hero for this. With that, I took a step to the exit. I was about to exit the room before dashing back to Jimmy Bullard's side. I freaking hate you! I shout, but I'm not sure if it was meant for Jimmy or myself. I grabbed the metal arm and lifted it with all my might, and like I expected, it was cumbersome. I could barely lift it. I could feel my muscles groan with the sudden strain. Move! I shout in between intense efforts. Thankfully, Jimmy was fine enough to crawl out of the way, freeing himself away from the arm. Once his leg is no longer trapped, I dropped the metal hand, breathing heavily. I wondered if this was my punishment for not running as much as the other kids. Once I regained my breath, I turned to look at Jimmy, who was trying to crawl at the exit. I got annoyed, scoffed, and rushed beside him. One good look on his leg, and I knew he was in no condition to use it. And even if it could, Jimmy still seemed dazed, only barely aware of his situation. You better stop picking on me after this, I declared as I slung his arm over my shoulder and lifted him. I gently made us walk slowly, far too slow for my liking. Still, as much as I hate Jimmy Bullard, I felt bad shouting at him to hurry up. But it's fine. Besides, we're only a few steps from the exit. It's not like something would happen again. Then, I felt a wrongness in the air. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like right now, something that shouldn't happen, but it's going to happen regardless. It was an odd feeling, added by the lack of sound of the room. Huh? I could have sworn the machine was still active and making loud noises from earlier. What happened? Against my better judgment, I slowly turned my head back to the machine, along with Jimmy, who seemed to sense it too. The gate still seemed normal, the hole still filled with a colorful reflection, but with a blink, the colors vanished, and its place was a black sphere the size of a basketball. Actually, calling it black seems wrong. It was like staring into darkness itself. Wait, it kinda looks like a black hole. As soon as that thought crossed my mind, the dark sphere began to suck up smaller objects inside it, and anything that entered it vanished, like it never existed in the first place. Not only that, the sphere seems to be growing bigger and stronger. I could feel a light pull on my body. Oh no, we gotta go. Jimmy must have thought the same thing as we moved even faster, but we were still slow. His injured legs forced him to hop awkwardly to the exit. Meanwhile, I could feel the pull get stronger by the second. It's to the point it's getting hard to move forward. I felt restrained and pulled by several hands. Come on, move! I shouted at Jimmy. He didn't say anything, but moved even more frantically than before. Even with tremendous effort, we can't even move a single meter. At this rate, whatever that thing will be strong enough to suck both of us. The only way to make it is if I let go of Jimmy. With him no longer slowing me down, I could get back to safety. Tears spilled out of my eyes as I struggled to move. It's no good. I didn't want to die. I'm only 10 years old, for God's sakes. I should just let go of Jimmy. People will understand if I let him go, right? After all, there's no sense for both of us to die. It's not like he was my friend or something. Quite the opposite. I hate his guts. The amount of money I was forced to give him is probably in the hundreds by now. I gripped his arm over my shoulder, preparing to throw him off. Mommy. I blinked and I looked up to see his face. Tears. Of course, anyone would be crying in this situation, especially a kid. But I thought I would never see the biggest bully in my school weep like a normal kid. Just a normal human being, like me. I bit my lip. My eyes traveled to the exit and to the side near there was a keypad. There were several buttons there, but what caught my attention was the big red button in the middle. It was a bit difficult to see, but it read close. My heart skips a beat at the idea that just popped in my brain. I wanted to smack myself for even entertaining this idea. But as I look at Jimmy's despaired face, my body instinctively starts moving. With loud grunts, I pulled ourselves close to the exit. The small black hole on the back had enough power to pull large equipment and debris. No doubt it would soon be powerful enough to suck me. Tell my parents I love them, I shouted suddenly. Jimmy looked at me with tears still in his eyes. He had a look of confusion on him. What are you? Before he could finish whatever he was about to say, I shoved him as strongly as I could past the exit door. And before he could get pulled back, I slammed my fist on the close button. Honestly, that was a bad idea. That hurt a lot. Regardless, the door closes. Now, Jimmy should be able to hop to safety without getting sucked into that black hole. But that just leaves me trapped, unable to open the door. Why did I do it? Why would I sacrifice my life to save someone I detest? I couldn't tell you. I probably have mental problems because no one in their right mind would do what I did. I'm so freaking dumb. And I guess I do have mental problems because for some odd reason, I don't feel afraid. Not at all. Instead, I felt something I couldn't foresee. Relief and tranquility. Even as I stared at the growing sphere, which by this point is about the size of a truck, I felt relaxed. I didn't scream as my body wasn't able to hold on and was rapidly getting sucked inside the black hole. I could only close my eyes and accept it. God damn it, why was I born this way? And then I felt nothing. I had a dream once. I was on Earth watching the stars, but unlike in real life, all the other planets were a lot closer. I could see Jupiter and Neptune filling the sky as the stars twinkle. The reason I mentioned it is because right now, I find myself in a similar place. I was lying on my back on some hard rocky surface as I stared at the sky, where I was greeted by numerous large planets in the sky. I couldn't recognize any of them. They looked so alien and off-putting. There was a planet that was colored completely red on one side, while the other, a sapphire blue, covered the other side. There was even a donut-shaped planet that had what looked to be a black hole filling in the middle, and one that had multiple rings. While the planets were certainly mesmerizing, the dark void known as space was also beautiful. Instead of the abyss-like space that surrounded planets, this one was different. It was filled with all sorts of colors and those things. They are called nebulas, if I remember correctly. I was at awe. This may be a dream, but it didn't change the fact of how beautiful it seemed. There was even this one large nebula that resembled a single bluish eye. The thought chilled as I stared at the eye-like thing. While I had no idea what nebulas are made of, I know they aren't living. Then why does it feel like it was staring at me? Okay, Ben, let's wake up before the eye starts blinking and this dream suddenly becomes a cosmic horror that Lovecraft would wet his pants in delight. I shut my eyes again, hoping that I would wake up, but I didn't. The same sight still greeted me. I sat up and looked around. The ground I was on was rocky and red. It reminded me of the Grand Canyon, the red rocks and the shape of the field around me. At the time, though, it felt completely different. I once again tried to wake up, but still, I find myself in the dream. This was weird. Usually, when I realized this was a dream or shut my eyes within my dream, I almost immediately wake up. This wasn't happening now. Not to mention, it feels so real. My body feels like it's here, and I could feel the wind breeze on my skin. It wasn't like in a dream where my body feels weightless, unable to feel anything. This isn't a dream, is it? To make sure, I pinched my cheek, ignoring the stinging pain. I pulled on it harder to the point I was forced to let go of the pain. Yup, I'm here on some weird planet with celestial bodies I'd never seen before. I stood on my feet and looked around. How did I get here? I murmured to myself. The last thing I remembered was shoving Jimmy Bullard to the exit while I remained trapped with the black hole that was caused by the portal. Did it bring me here? I looked around frantically, hoping to spot some kind of portal to take me back, but to no avail. Hello? Someone? I shouted at the top of my lungs. I need help! I continued to scream as my throat felt dry and tired. Eventually, I sat down in a fetal position and cried. I mean, of course I would cry. I was stuck in some weird place with no one here to help me. I just wanted to go home. Mom, Dad, I called weakly, but no one came. I don't know how long I sat there just staring at the ground. Sometimes I would look up at the stars and planets, which never fails to distract me from my dire situation. Still, I realized just sitting would get me nowhere. I decided to walk this strange planet for any shelter or food. Yeah, food is my biggest concern right now, along with water, because I kind of need both of those things to survive. Hopefully, I could find both. As I wandered, I noticed occasionally I would spot trees made out of glowing white crystals. A part of me wants to touch it, but I don't want to risk my hand disintegrating or worse. I know nothing about this planet after all. Another thing I came across was a large lake of water? Honestly, I'm not sure. It looks like liquid, but I don't remember water looking even blacker than oil. And I'm pretty sure despite its dark color, they had like stars glowing underneath the waves. For some reason, I got the urge to dip in or even drink from it. Damn the consequences. But remembering watching a YouTuber play Subnautica instantly made me back away. I let out a heavy sigh, ignoring my tired legs and begging for rest. Am I seriously destined to starve here? Like, I don't even get to see my family for the last time or even get a proper burial. The only respite is that I'm likely the first human to die on this alien planet. Awesome. My horrifying death would be historical and I would be an important figure if they found my body, where teachers will quiz on the kid that died there. That's the legacy I'm leaving behind. Riveting. I blinked and squinted my eyes, making sure what I was seeing was legit. In the distance, probably a half-kilometer away, there was a fog. There are fogs on this planet? Within the fog, multicolored lightning began to shoot out. Suddenly, the fog started to move quicker and going directly to me. And just like that, I was out of there. I ran as fast as I could, turning my head occasionally to look at the bizarre fog. I had never seen a fog move like that before. The way it slithers and zigzags towards me remind me of a snake. Sure, fog shouldn't hurt me. I mean, it's just gas. But I was in an alien world. Who knows? I could explode if I even inhale a tiny bit of it. And even if the gas itself wasn't dangerous, the multicolored lightning certainly would. At this point, I knew it was futile. It was far faster than me, and I wasn't an athletic kid in the first place. Soon, the fog swallows me whole. I gasped, expecting that I would explode. Thankfully, I didn't. I felt no pain at all. I stopped running, trying to regain the lost air in my lungs. I guess I was worried for nothing. Ah! I cried out, feeling a shock hit my back. Oh right, the multicolored lightning. I knew I was forgetting something. I stumbled, but quickly regained my footing. But before I could do anything, it hit on the leg and my arm. Not long after, the multicolored lightning began to hit everything. My eyes, my mouth, stomach, not even my groin was safe. Saying it hurt would be an understatement. However, after I was shocked, I strangely felt stronger, like I just drank a sip of an energy drink. Not only that, my body felt weightless, and my eyes became hot. I could feel and sense my surroundings too. I felt so strong. It felt good. The pleasure and pain became indistinguishable. I screamed until my throat was raw, as I felt my eyes shoot out something, and the multicolored lightning that hit me transformed into a scarlet color. And instead of them coming from the fog, they were coming out of my body. And as suddenly as that, the fog disperses, and the pleasure as well as the pain vanishes. I didn't even realize I was 5 feet in the air until I fell flat on my face. Oh, I groaned, being muffled by the rock. Weirdly, I didn't feel hurt after falling from such height, especially in the face. Instead, I felt extremely tired, like I ran multiple marathons back to back. Since I'm tired and today has been a mess, I decided to reward myself with a peaceful slumber. I deserve it after all the crap I just went through. And then I shut my eyes, falling into slumber.